Welcome, Hearties, to the episode of the day. This is going to be a deep one, so I had to start it out with something peppy.
Yep.
I am Cammie, the Hooked Hearty, and...
Hey, everybody, I'm Sarah, the Hawk-Eyed Hearty. We are here to talk about the latest episode of When Calls the Heart. Season 10, episode 11.
Long time running. Yeah, those are interesting words.
I don't know that I still understand the title.
So Hearties, we are doing something a little bit special this time, because this begs for it.
Yeah. You know, this episode left us feeling a little something different at the end of the episode. And that's a good word. And you know, a lot of people have a go-to, something that they do when they are just not feeling normal and they need something of comfort, right?
That's right. And Sarah and I are working on a novel together.
We've taken a pause for a while to focus on some other things. We will get back to it.
Like this.
But it kind of has, you know, a few inside jokes for us, because when you're writing a story, you have to really delve into your characters, and sometimes you have to do some research to really find the right things for your character to love and to be interested in, and to develop their habits. You have to kind of try some different things out. You have to try different foods and different treats and be like,
and different combinations.
Character. Yes, different combinations. Yes. You have to really decide what this character would do in a given situation. And I'll tell you, I think we know what the character in our book would do if they watched this episode.
Oh yeah. So
yeah,
I have a little excerpt from our novel that I wanted to read to all of you for clarification and backstory. So the two characters are Chrissy and Julie, and they are sisters. Julie is the younger sister, and they are college students, and they room together. They're roommates. All right. So, okay, Chrissy sighed. Looks like we're going into full interrogation mode. She brushed past Julie and strolled through their small but cozy kitchen toward their tiny living room. Get the sticks, Juliet, she called over her shoulder. Oh, Julie answered loudly as she turned and followed. You are so lucky I went Christmas shopping already, or that would have gotten you a lump of coal. She slapped her notebook down on the counter by the microwave, then stepped into the narrow pantry. Do we need cider too, Christina? She giggled mischievously. Watch it, Missy. Only I can call you by your real name. I'm older. And yes, cider probably couldn't hurt. Whoa, this must be big. Julie took down the box of apple cider packets, then stood on her toes to reach just one shelf higher and grab the canister of those delectable cookie sticks Pepperidge Farm makes. It was very routine, as both comfort foods were always in stock in the sisters' pantry and always in the same place. You bought French vanilla, not chocolate, right? Chrissy asked pointedly from the stove as she heated water. Have we met? Julie pretended to be insulted. Just checking, Chrissy laughed, throwing her a knowing glance. What? It was one time. I won't do that again. Julie shuddered at the memory of the clashing flavors. She could still taste them after 3 months.
Just so you know, Hearties, we did. We tasted the chocolate cookie sticks with the apple cider to see if that was not. No, I don't think so. So
we
French
have
vanilla.
French vanilla. They are called pirouette, but we like cookie sticks better. And in these mugs are not herbal tea or coffee. It is apple cider.
It is. And just to be fair, the best way to do this.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on.
Got it.
I'm
Got
getting
to dip.
Come on.
I already dipped. Mine's getting soggy. Come on.
I'm trying. I'm trying to get one out. Okay, here we go.
If y'all haven't tried this, this is definitely a good flavor combo.
It was interesting because we thought, yeah, I'm ready. Because we thought about doing.
Okay, so you dip it in.
Dip it. But don't leave it in there too long. Don't leave it in there too long because it will break off. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. And we thought about doing hot cocoa, but everybody does hot cocoa. So we switched to apple cider because these girls grew up on an apple farm. Or near an apple orchard, rather.
Apple orchard in the family.
Yep, orchard in the family. So apple cider is their go-to. And so, but cider is what they get when it's really bad. Usually they just pass a canister between each other. Really important.
Yeah.
Oh, and Sarah, so sorry that I couldn't share this with you across the miles, but I brought a Godiva chocolate heart for good measure.
That's fair.
Yeah, because and by the way, Hearties, we did this when we were talking about the episode. We did this. We got cider and cookie sticks. I went to the store and bought them especially for the occasion.
I will be honest, I pulled some out that I had in my cupboard after the episode. I was like, oh boy, I need the sticks. And mine were a little stale and it really just did not hit the spot. So I had to go buy more.
Yeah, had to go buy more. All right.
Darn.
Hawkeye, we've stalled long enough.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get it over. Let's just get it over with. Are you ready to say something to me?
I told you so.
Something else. Yeah, pretty much. I was waiting for it.
There, I laughed in your face. But I almost feel like quoting Pride and Prejudice right now. That is a failing indeed, but I cannot laugh at it.
No.
I can't laugh.
I mean, things didn't go exactly like I thought they would.
Yeah. So
yeah,
my feelings can be summed up by one of Elizabeth's lines. I can't help feeling confused. She said it at the very beginning, and I am very confused.
Right. So I want to take the opportunity before we delve too deep into this is to really say, I know there's a lot of feelings out there. I know there's a lot of polarizing views about what's going on. And really, Cammie and I feel very shocked, just like a lot of you. But we also want to take this opportunity to really just analyze it, think about it, absorb the information.
We're trying to not be too emotional about it.
Yeah, we're trying not to be emotional. We don't want to come across as discounting anybody else's feelings on the matter, but we're just trying to stay very neutral as we think about it and process and wait to see what's coming, because there is another episode
still one more
season, and more information may be shared that explains more of what's happening. And so we're not sure. We're experiencing this all with you guys, so
we're right here with you.
We acknowledge some people are really excited and some people are really upset and some people are in the middle. And we first and foremost, we still care about this show, and I firmly believe that you can. Yeah, we still care about all the fans. I can speak for myself, at least, I firmly believe that you can disagree with some things that have happened on a show and still enjoy the show. and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I want to see what happens. There are still tons of reasons that I love this show, and I'm on board for the ride for now, and I don't anticipate going anywhere. But to each their own, and everybody gets their own decision in this matter, and we're just gonna process it as we go.
Bad joke. You said you were on board for mine, so
I'm on board. Yeah, I'm on board. There goes the train.
I'm just gonna say ditto because there's nothing else I can add. We have the perspective of viewers. We don't have the perspective that the producers and the creators and the actors have, even because they've got a perspective filming season 11 that we currently do not have. So
Exactly.
we're just gonna write it out. Now, I will come right out and say that I did have some pretty strong emotions when the episode ended. I'm not going to tell you what they were. And I will say, don't ask my husband what his feelings were. Yeesh.
Yeah, no, I've heard his reaction. I don't think that we need to share
It
that.
ain't pretty.
Sorry, Will. I'm agreeing with that as well.
Let's just say he was very tenacious.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's watched this podcast this year knows that I've started as Team Nathan, got on board with Team Lucas once it was officially going in that direction. I love both characters now. I truly love both characters now. And to be fair, just because this decision was made to call off the engagement, we don't know for sure what that means for Elizabeth's future. We don't specifically know, and even if it is going in one direction, we don't know when that's going to go in that direction. So we still don't know. To me, it's not an argument for me of Team Lucas versus Team Nathan right now. It's more a matter of what, how can we move forward from here? What is going to be best for our characters, all of them.
I was under the impression that Chris McNally may have wanted to leave the show because his 5 years were up. However, I watched the Aftershow that Edify Films does. Yeah, you watched it as well. And we saw him in costume on the set of season 11. Now, it is possible he's just making appearances.
I've also seen other interviews this week that state he is a principal main character in season 11.
Okay, then. So I have not seen those yet. So we're bringing all of our information together. So there goes that theory, because that was one of my theories.
I will say the one thing, and piecing together information from different interviews is really tough, and it's hard to know. It's hard to know when information is released in interviews before a season's over, especially if that information is being kind of strategically released in bits so that things aren't given away. And so it's tough. It's not that I am saying that anything is intentionally being misleading in a negative way, but there is an art to PR for TV shows and movies, and
you don't want to give away the ending.
A lot of people, you're not supposed to give away the ending. Like, that's kind of key. So I think from what I've heard, rumors and direct quotes from people, but again, not sure if that's the whole story or just bits and pieces. I am hearing that it was not the intention at the beginning of the season to go in this direction. So a lot of people are saying that, you know, the beginning of season 10 was still looking so positive in Lucas and Elizabeth's relationship, and that was misleading because then further into the season it was changing. And so I think that can explain a little bit of that if the writing team had, you know, if some of the episodes had already been filmed when they had to start changing direction. And it really did, everything I have been hearing is that it was very strategic about the characters and the character growth and staying true to really who these people seem to be and what they need in their lives. And to make the best story for going forward for season 11, to set all the things up that they felt those characters needed to do. So it in those ways, that makes a little more sense to me, at least, thinking, okay, they had to adjust, and at least then it wasn't like, why are they acting all fine now and then things change? Like, that at least made more sense to me to hear that. I don't know if that's the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Right. I also saw a sneak peek of episode 12 with Lucas and Elizabeth on the telephone.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
And he says, I really think I found my calling. So that's a good thing to hear. So a couple of things that I noticed. You're gonna roll your eyes, Sarah. So when they talk about
I roll my eyes a lot.
Yeah, you're funny. When Lucas and Elizabeth are in his office and he gets off the telephone with Cunningham's old team, and he says that Rosemary's articles has been picked up by a bunch of newspapers. Radio hosts are reading it on the air. There's only 3 weeks left before the election, and no one else wants to run against Balfour knowing they'll lose. And right there, they have the tragic music that they always play when something's wrong.
I'm gonna roll my eyes at that.
You're not gonna roll your eyes at that. Okay. Yeah. I noticed it come in.
It doesn't surprise me when you notice the music changes.
But the fact that it was the tragic.
Well, it's a dramatic scene, whether the ending was going to happen like that or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, I just went, oh boy. When it played right then, I just went, oh dear. And then we have Elizabeth's reaction when Rosemary says, so Elizabeth, how do you feel? It's the future of Hope Valley. And the champagne pops and she jumps. And in the after show where Tiffany Wallach is interviewing Kevin Smith, he said that an extra whacked her on the bum with something to get the full reaction. I went, oh, Kevin. Oh, Kevin.
You know, I don't believe that. If he had said he did it, I might believe it.
He was over there. He was on the other side of the shot. He couldn't do it. Yeah, he couldn't have done it because he was on the other side of the shot.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the steps that Lucas takes for a second, because he goes from not wanting this at all. You know, it's not even a picture in his mind. And then all of a sudden, you want me to run? And then he starts taking it upon himself, because, I mean, when Elizabeth said, it's as if your campaign's already begun.
Yeah.
Edwin Mitchell described him like this: someone with charisma, a problem solver, someone who's a household name. And you're pretty limited on your sources of how to get a household name. So if you're in the newspaper, you're pretty much a household name. That just a quick interlude here, that interchange with Nathan and Lucas. Hey, don't I know you? You're the guy from the papers. Yeah, and you're the other guy on the front page of the paper. So yeah, they're both kind of becoming household names, but obviously Nathan's a Mountie. Lucas is the one who stood up and made the huge speech against the governor with the voice of a politician. So that's what people were looking for. And frankly, when he says to Elizabeth, I didn't hear this until the second time around, because the first time around I was in shock. but the first time around, I really listened to him say this. I think I can do this. I want to help the people. I want to fight for what's right, and I want to make a difference in this world. Can you get a more golden politician? No. You can't get that kind of golden politician.
And I would say, and I would say the opposite of dear old Bixby.
The complete opposite. We love you, Mark. but yes, the complete opposite, because he did not want to help the people. He wanted to serve himself. He definitely did not want to fight for what was right. And he wanted to make a difference in this world by getting rich and running all of the valleys dry. So complete opposite from Bixby. It's funny. They said in the sneak peek that everybody in the valleys heard Lucas's speech, but there are a lot of people north of Union City who still support Balfour. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's because they hadn't heard about it, or if they just took his side because all the water was coming to Union City. I
was gonna say, I think it's hard when it doesn't affect you.
Yeah. But it was an interesting thing that he had so many supporters, and I would have thought that news like this would have spread like wildfire. And I didn't think that Bixby had a chance in where of winning after that. I don't know how he still has a race, but I guess he still does.
He's probably got some powerful people that support him,
like Montague.
Yeah, and business owners who can make their employees feel like they need to vote a certain way. And
yeah. So let's go to Montague for a second, because it was really interesting the way that Cunningham withdrew, because I would have thought that once this news got out, Cunningham would have said, wow, I can't lose.
I've got a shot now. Yeah.
I've got a total shot now. But it says that he withdrew because of health concerns. I went,
yeah, I'd be worried. I was gonna
wake up with a gun to your head. Yeah, the bribed or threatened theory makes a lot of sense.
Oh, definitely threatened.
Yeah.
Definitely threatened.
And
why give somebody money if you can just threaten them? I mean, save your money. Try that first.
It depends. I mean, it depends. We don't know what kind of a person Cunningham is. So we don't know what he would have been influenced by. But I had to laugh at the scene when Montague is set up on public land and here come Bill and Nathan to make their stay as unpleasant as possible. And what caught my ear the most was when he said, well, that's the benefit of running unopposed. And Bill and Nathan just looking at each other and smiling because they know what's going on. It's just those devilish.
I know it was almost funny because Montague didn't pick up on it. It was so obvious that they were happy. It was kind of surprising he didn't go, why? What have you heard?
Well, there's quite a distance between them, but between horses and where they were standing, and they were looking at each other. They were not facing him. So, we have the benefit of the camera. So
there's a lot of zooming in. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, as far as reactions are concerned, it was pretty subtle. It, was just kind of a sly look and yeah, whatever you say, bud. Yeah. So let's take a break for a second from the heavy stuff and let's talk about Eminem.
Oh my gosh, that's their ship name.
I
hadn't thought of that yet.
You hadn't?
I heard that. Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
I thought people had already started calling them that.
They probably have. I don't know how I've missed it. I will say there's a lot of drama right now. I've been trying to kind of stay back from some of the drama, so I may have missed some of the good happy posting.
I thought that I was thinking of it for the first time, but somebody told me, oh yeah, they're already calling them that, and went, oh well, Killjoy.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's a fabulous ship name.
Thank you. Okay. When May comes into the mercantile.
Yes, let's chat about them.
Yes, I need another cookie stick. Because this is where it gets good. I think perhaps my favorite reaction is when Ned says, oh yeah, they're over there by where Mike is standing. And Mike goes, oh. That was probably my favorite reaction of his in the whole.
He is so, quite honestly, he is second only to Kevin with his expressions. I personally think he's almost as good as Kevin with his expressions.
Those are big words.
He just hasn't had as many of them.
It's true. He hasn't had a whole lot of chances, and he's had a ton. He's had a ton this season.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the Night of the Lonesome Heart. The honest truth, it would not surprise me if you found Mike Hickam actually reading that. He does not seem like the type of man who would be embarrassed being caught reading it.
He has all of those sisters.
Yeah.
He's very in touch with his feelings.
He's a sensitive soul.
When he first said it, I didn't realize, I mean, I wasn't for sure that he was faking, having read the book immediately.
Yeah.
With a different character, it might have been more obvious with the title, but with him, it was just like
Bill.
Well, maybe that's, yeah. I would not have believed at all for a second that he had read that. But how cute was that? Oh my gosh.
Precious. Absolutely precious. I loved it.
That is a fabulous start to a love story. I can get behind this 100%.
Oh, I am hashtag Eminem, team Eminem all the way. I want I want this to go. I want this to happen. I am
Yeah,
on this
this needs
train.
to take off.
Yep. I am on, yeah, I'm on this flight.
Yeah.
I'm on this plane. Let's
Okay.
get it.
Okay.
Let's get it moving.
Yeah, totally.
So at the end, when he comes clean, this was the cutest.
Which again is another part of what makes it perfect. Because he was so honest. That's a theme with him.
Yeah. And you would expect nothing less from Mike Hickam. He has to be brutally and painfully honest because he can't lie, no matter how hard he tries. But it's fun to watch him try, and then he comes clean. And it was just so adorable when he says that, to be honest, I haven't read it. And at first he says I haven't finished it. And by that, I mean, I haven't read it. And she thought it was adorable. It didn't.
Well, I mean, depending upon the actual content of the story, I'm sure she's reading it going, Mike likes this. It probably made so much more sense when he admitted he hadn't.
This is one of his favorite novels.
It's just not how I pictured him.
So, and then said, but I will read it. And then maybe we can talk about it. And then it's a date. And then him going, it's date. Yeah. His shock, his sudden confidence, and I gotta read this thing. So it was some of the most precious acting that I have seen. Yeah. And I mean precious in the highest form of compliment that I have seen from those two. They were adorable. They were adorable. It reminded me of 16-year-olds. Two people who are really young and innocent, kind of falling in love for the first time, doing a little bit of a puppy love thing. But with these guys, it's deeper than puppy love, but their interactions are very innocent. And I think that it's so precious and so adorable and so endearing that we want to see this relationship take off. I mean, we kind of suffered the disappointment of seeing things not work out with Nathan and May. And now, we've been waiting a long time for Hickam to find somebody. We've been waiting a really long time for Hickam to find somebody. And it seems like now we're finally going to get our wish. And it's adorable. It really is.
Yeah. Love it. Love
I think the three musketeerettes are about to become the two musketeerettes.
Yes and no, but I would really like to see, it doesn't always have to change. I'd like to see them still be a really strong friendship group. It doesn't have to completely change. Maybe she won't live with them forever, but
no, you're absolutely right. Because when Florence and Ned got married,
she still hangs out with Molly all the time.
Yeah, she still hangs out with Molly all the time, but it's not the same. They don't have the same relationship, but they're still very close. So I have every reason to believe that May will stay good friends with Fiona and Faith. I just think that it's gonna, as far as the single woman's club, it's gonna become a club of 2 instead of a club of 3.
Likely. Yes, likely.
Yeah. And Molly, you know how I feel about Molly. But I have since found out that Madeline is in the last episode. So I don't know now. I don't know where things are going with Bill and Madeline. So I'll just keep my mouth shut on how Bill should be with a redhead instead. It's no secret. So to end off the whole Eminem thing, probably the funniest line, dear old Rothgar, because he just put the nail right there and hit the nail on the head with, you're going to have to pay for that book. Just, there are so many ways that could have been handled. It could have just been him shaking his head and smiling, or turning and laughing, but he treated it as any other transaction. You're gonna have to pay for it, right?
But I mean, if you think about it, in a larger town where everyone didn't know each other, a merchant probably wouldn't have let it get that far and would have called him out right in front of the girl. No, that's our book. You got to pay for that.
No.
I mean, being in a small town where everybody knows each other and he could tell what was going on.
He could tell very well.
He knew he was getting the sale either way.
I also think that Ned probably had some empathy, because it was not that long ago that he was going through this very, very challenging for him and very awkward interaction phase with Florence. And so, even though he's a businessman and he's not gonna let May just walk out with the book without getting the money for it, he's also not gonna ruin it or call him out in front of May, like you said, because he's like, yeah, okay, I've been there, I've done that, but pay up.
Yeah. No, I never would think that Ned would. I'm just saying in a big Union City type place, probably wouldn't get away with that.
No.
You'd probably get embarrassed in front of the girl.
Probably, yeah. But I think that Ned had that added empathy. Like, okay, yeah, I know.
Oh,
I just went through this not long ago.
And he used to be Mike's boss. So Hickam started at the Mercantile.
He did. We forget that a lot of times.
Way back then.
Yeah, we forget that a lot of times if we haven't gone back and watched season 1, but then he said it. And that's what I loved when he was talking to Faith. I didn't pay much attention to the conversation about her getting out on her own. I just love the fact that they called back to the fact that he started in the Mercantile. I went, yes, bringing up the Hope Valley history. Yes, we love that. We love the callbacks. All right, the last Hickam scene that I've got to mention before we move on, because this was probably the best Hickam scene that didn't involve romance. And that is when Lucas hands over the keys.
The look on Mike's face, like surprise, but yet it was like, this has happened before. He's been asked to step in and run companies for people who have to leave town all of a sudden. Surprisingly a lot for one person. This has happened several times. But
he's so good at it.
Said that. He is really good at it. And he seemed, what I'll say is he seemed much more at ease this time with like,
yes.
Oh, I can do that. You trust me, and that feels really good. And I can do that. He was much more confident.
Yeah.
which I love. I love
Yeah.
that about
Yeah.
his growth over the last several years.
He can still be the sweet and innocent and sometimes silly Hickam, but everyone's got to grow up sometime. And you really can see his growth and see him having more confidence in himself and feeling flattered while at the same time knowing he can handle it. And I mean, once again, it kind of is interesting to me that he was not Lucas's best man, but you know, that's okay. I just thought,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But,
still a little confused on that one.
well, and I think one of the best parts about that scene is it started out so lighthearted with him saying, "Good eye, governor." I'm like, oh my gosh, did he seriously just say that?
So funny.
And I know, it was so great. And then the fact that Cooper had just handed Lucas a jar of money that he had been collecting for Cunningham, and then he handed it over to Lucas. The first time I watched the episode, I thought it was the same jar. I missed the second jar. Yeah. And then Mike puts the other jar that they had in the saloon. It reminded me of this beautiful Christmas movie called Christmas Jars. And everybody that participates with the Christmas jars will put spare change and little bits of money in a jar, and they save it over the course of a year from December to December. And then around Christmas time, they will leave the jar on the doorstep of somebody anonymously who needs it. It's a beautiful movie. You really should check it out. That's Christmas Jars, everybody. But you know, we're getting up on Hallmark's down to Christmas. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds like a tearjerker.
It is a big time tearjerker, and it's so gorgeous, and it's got a lovely little cute love story in it. Moving on.
I will need some sticks for that.
Oh, you will need sticks and cider. But
my God.
Just pushing the two jars towards Lucas and showing his confidence in Lucas, saying, use them well. And then Lucas in turn showing confidence in him. And I wrote it down because that's what I do. You've been a great right-hand man and an even better friend. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that,
well,
yeah.
They're such good friends. I keep going back to the best man thing. But speaking of actual best men, his actual best man was Lee, who over on the other side of town was still trying to figure out who is going to run for governor.
And Lee was having a leak. Very leaky situation.
Yes.
Like that?
Okay. Anyway. That scene with Lee and Rosemary in their office with the leaky roof, and they're both on the phone simultaneously, both calling all over to try to find out if there's any leads on who is going to run in Cunningham's place. That scene was so well choreographed.
Maneuvering Goldie while she's on the phone.
You've got the baby, you've got multiple telephones, you've got new leaks springing through the roof. That was just such a cool scene. The way that was set up, really showcased their relationship and how well they can like play off each other and work well together. But also just, it was so visually well played.
Yeah. And you know, I really do miss the days when you could hang up a phone, because it's so satisfying to hang up a phone. Pressing the end button just does not have the same effect. But
No, it doesn't.
the perfect timing that they had with the simultaneous thank you, goodbye, the roof. I was like, holy mackerel, look at them go. It,
Yeah. It was the perfect scene for the two of them.
that is what comes. That is what comes from hours and hours and days and months of being really, really good together and working really hard to create such a great character. And then they even carry it over into their real lives, and their friends and their families hang out together. So it's great. It's just,
Yeah.
it's so fun to watch them work. And then listening to Kevin in the after show talk about how, you know, they had the pipes running through the ceiling above their heads, and that in between takes they had to dry everything off and get new paper. So oh gosh, who knows how much paper they went through to make that scene.
Depending on how many times they had to film it, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to do everything from a bunch of angles. I mean, I've been on a set, so even when you don't mess up, and even when you don't mess up, you have to do it a bunch of times. Yeah, but when you do mess up, it's even more. So
totally. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Well,
so
when you have a leaky roof, you have to fix. Then you have to fix the roof.
And who do you bring in to fix that roof, Sarah?
Well, I guess you'd bring in the person that fixes everything in town now. He's basically a job.
And
I don't know that he actually has a job, but he's.
And he has become a singing handyman. What?
Well, I mean, you know, the week before we got to see him laugh for the first time. So we might as well now see him sing for the first time. He was adamant that a choir was not something he would be joining.
No.
But apparently it is not because he can't sing.
Holy moly! Martin can sing.
It was so sweet.
He has a beautiful voice, and it is so resonating and deep and throaty. And when I say throaty, I don't mean that in a bad way. His voice,
like in that kind of that raspy, gravelly. I don't know. I can't even. It's so real, and it just resonates when you hear it. And maybe it's just because you just love him.
That scene was probably my favorite in the whole episode. Watching Henry hold the baby, because he was so
me too.
Because he was so nervous about doing it in the first place.
I adore the fact that it was basically like the intention was, I'll only be gone a few minutes. She's asleep. You won't have to do a thing. And literally the split second she left, Goldie wakes up.
Isn't that how it always is?
And I feel like as like when I was younger and I was babysitting, like I feel like that happened all the time, where it was like, well, they just went down for their nap, so you should be good for another hour, you know, and then it'd be like, bam, like, okay.
Well, and then to hear Pascal talk about it in the after show, saying that wasn't any confidence in Henry, that was a working mother in a desperate situation. Oh, you're here. I'll be right back. Bye.
Take advantage of every situation you can. Having said that, of course, though, had it been the Henry Gowan from several years ago, she wouldn't have left baby. So yes, it wasn't necessarily a like, I know you're going to be great with a baby, but it was definitely I know you are a safe person. I know my baby is safe with you. There was still a level of trust. It maybe wasn't you're the babysitter for the job, but it definitely showed trust.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%. You would not leave your baby if that person was somebody that you didn't trust. But but she was like, okay, I'm desperate. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Hearties. Sarah couldn't figure out if he was singing Henry or Papa. It was Papa.
He was saying Papa?
He was.
Interesting.
He was singing Papa.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting. What? Why interesting?
Well, I mean, why would when you're not Papa? I feel like that just goes against the natural laws of singing to a baby.
No, no, because he's not saying he'll do it. He's saying your Papa's going to. Just go with it.
Okay. That's not how I've ever known that song. I've always known that song is being sung to you by whoever's going to buy that stuff for you. Every time I've heard somebody sing it, if somebody different sings it, then they sing their name or they sing their relationship to the child. Like if it's the aunt singing it, I've heard them sing, Auntie's gonna buy you. Like that's how it's always been presented to me for that song. More so than these are the lyrics to the song. So I was like, he's singing Henry or singing, I thought he could even be saying uncle, thinking like he's an honorary uncle or something, but interesting that it was actually fun. All right. Well, we better get buying some stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff in that song that he's going to have to buy. And, seeing how long it took him to follow through on the stage that he was building her mom. Which, by the way, Henry ended up building.
Yeah, Henry ended up building. May I point out?
I feel like we better get started now.
May I point out that her mother, Goldie's mother, being who she is, I seriously doubt that house does not have a looking glass. So I think we're safe.
Fair on that end. Yes. All right.
Okay. So let's talk about Emily for a second here, shall we?
Oh, sweet little Emily. Okay. That's the best callback of the episode.
Oh,
this is, yeah.
So
maybe not of the season. Rosalind's the best callback of the season, but
it's definitely in the running.
This is second in my book.
So I just have to say one thing about Grace and Shinnery. So when she was a little girl in season 1, her acting was very natural. Most little children are good in front of a camera. Having been a child actor myself, I barely even saw the camera, and they would just roll us doing our thing, and it was great. When you get to be an older child into a preteen, you start noticing the camera there. So you start putting something on a little bit. And I noticed that with Grayson. She would kind of put on a character. She would say lines a little too enthusiastically sometimes. And I went, oh, it's okay, hun. You're good. Go back to the way you were when you were little. But we haven't seen her a whole lot this season, and she is the only child left who is an original child from season 1. And so while I think that it would have been a little bit more powerful for the whole class to tell Elizabeth that they didn't want her to go, I think it meant a lot that only Emily did it because she's the only original child left. And we hadn't seen a whole lot of her So I was so happy that they were doing this scene with just her. And then her acting killed it. She nailed that scene and she killed it. Oh my gosh. Her acting was real. It was raw. It was intent. It was so intense as well without being too much. She had the perfect blend and it was beautiful. And she just, oh, she stretched her acting chops in that scene and it was incredible.
It was good.
It was so incredible. Yeah. Were you surprised that Elizabeth had the original card in her desk?
No,
I
don't think I was.
I have to admit I was. I thought that it would have been safely tucked away with some keepsakes, but she's been there 10 years.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, do not get.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine. Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't a stretch.
No, it wasn't a stretch. No. I was just surprised. And then having the two cards side by side, that
were so similar. I guess I'm more surprised that Emily was able to recall what this card looked like that all these kids had made 10 years ago and able to recreate almost the same thing by herself 10 years later without her having seen it recently.
True.
That's a little more surprising.
Probably, yeah.
So what I did hear was that the original card was in the script and Brian Bird said, and then Elizabeth should have the original card. So that was a Brian Bird moment to have her pull that out.
Good call.
And it is the same card.
Okay, now that surprises me. It's the exact same card.
Well, that's what I heard in an interview. I don't know. That's what the showrunners said that it was, that they had it in front.
I mean, I know it's the same words. I remember the words and I know it's the same words. I just wasn't sure if that card would have lasted that long.
I mean, if you're like, you're saving stuff on in a prop box. I imagine they are attempting to keep stuff, in case they need it later. So
yeah, but I'm just like,
and that one paid off.
That one did pay off.
Like, yeah, we used it. Yes.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful callback and an incredible moment. And I had to, once again, watch the second time through to fully appreciate the card, because the first time through, I was too busy watching Emily. I loved watching her in that scene. You can tell that she has grown in her acting ability and she has grown up so much. And it was a beautiful moment for me to remember the way she was and to see her now doing a whole compare and contrast thing to how much she's grown up and how beautiful she's become and how much her acting has grown. It was lovely. Yeah. It was really beautiful.
Agreed.
Okay,
Yummy. So I think we've stretched ourselves to every nook and cranny of Folk Valley.
Yeah, we have.
I think it's time. I think it is time to go to the train station. I think. Okay, so
let's go.
Elizabeth decided not to go. Elizabeth decided not to go with him. Mm-hmm. And also, without actually saying the words, I believe that the engagement is called off.
Pretty sure the engagement's off. Yeah.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that elopement I talked about is not happening.
That is a failing indeed, but I cannot laugh at it.
Not anytime soon, and probably not with that gentleman. Not saying never, like you know, predict the future, but
and we still have one more episode
currently
in this season.
speaking, it's not looking like that is happening.
No. Okay,
so there's lots of thoughts, there's lots of feelings,
there's lots of thoughts. There are two things that I wasn't comfortable with. I'll just start by saying that. Two things that I was not comfortable with. The backing out at the train station. You know, the backing out of the trip.
I mean, I feel like that was obviously done for cinematic purposes.
Oh, of course,
it's dramatic. You're at the train station. We've never seen the train station, so this is really cool. And it, you know, it mirrors Casablanca, and you've got like all these different like theatrical reasons to do it that way. But yes, character-wise, it felt awkward. It felt very bizarre that she wouldn't. Character-wise, it felt off. 100%. I see why they did it.
Yeah.
I like that the look of it looked really cool and dramatic.
Oh yeah, the lighting was fantastic.
If she had done it in his office, and then he would have had to come out and say his goodbyes to everyone after that, you know, that wouldn't have been fun at all. So in that sense, it was nice for him that he could just climb on the train and be alone.
Yeah, but he was going on the train to go on a campaign. And
yes, but he had a very long train ride ahead of him. He
could you say all of your feelings of being dumped from an engagement in 22 hours?
No, but I mean, right now we're talking about the way it was done. Like, she had to say it before he left. That if we're at this point and she's done, she does need to be open and honest and truthful. He needs to be able to go into this stage of his life and make this career choice knowing what this means. Like, I don't think it would have been fair for him to go through the campaigning and then find out that her heart is not in this and she's not going to continue to be there. You know, that would be, you know, this way he cannot feel any resentment towards having made this decision under false pretenses or anything like that.
I will agree with that. On the flip side, you are sending him off on a campaign with a broken heart, and it's going to be very hard for him to concentrate.
Agreed.
So that I wish that she would have handled it differently. I wish that she had handled it differently. And the second thing that I was not comfortable with, which ironically it mentions the word comfortable, was Elizabeth saying to Rosemary that Lucas was a comfortable choice. That was not the vibe that I've been getting.
So I think that there's different levels. I think that was not the best word choice. But I get different vibes. And from a lot of interviews, I almost wonder if there were some scenes cut that described things in more detail, or even maybe not whole scenes, but the snippets here and there of dialogue that potentially would have adjusted a viewpoint a little bit as to reasonings behind this decision. I'm reminded of an interview that Andrea Brooks did recently where she was referring to her own character, but talking about how often things are cut, and she remembers filming them and she's forgetful that that didn't actually make it into the episode. Right. And so just kind of, I remember hearing that very recently.
There's one line that I wish they would have put in that would have made it better for me. Mm-hmm. things are not as right as I thought.
Mm-hmm.
If they had just done that, I think it would have given a lot more credence to the past.
Right. Or something along the lines of feelings having changed over the last year.
Yeah,
or coming to a
something.
realization or
Yes,
something coming to a realization. Yeah.
something like that.
The way that it was worded that made it through to the show does allude to her being aware that she was making a comfortable choice and not following her heart. And I think I don't get that vibe from everything that's happened over all the episodes,
including her journal entries.
Including her journal entries.
Her
that
journal
she was
entries
aware.
would have been
So,
her journal entries would have been honest, you know, if she was talking to herself.
Nobody, yeah.
Yeah. And
most definitely.
Yeah, we weren't
and
getting that vibe.
I feel like, and I've seen a few interviews this week that did say things that were more along the lines of what you and I talked about during the week. About you and I talked about how it really felt like, more authentically, it felt like she felt love for him, was very in love with him, wasn't really sure about a lot of things, and probably in an effort to deal with her grief, pushed through and made a comfortable choice to try to move forward, even when she may not have truly been ready to move all the way forward. Like maybe dating him, yes, but maybe not. Maybe she said yes to his proposal because she thought that's the natural next step and that's what I should do. Like those kinds of more incremental things, that she did have feelings for him. She did love him. She did like the idea of the future, but that maybe she had not fully dealt with her grief and fully moved on and fully ready to get married again. And then as things started happening and it started coming out that he wants to build this big house and he wants to, you know, do all of these things that she's not really feeling like she wants to do, it's making her question how fast she moved into this. And it's making her question if he is the right one, if she should have moved this fast, if she truly has dealt with all of her grief yet.
I recall somebody saying some things like that, playing the devil's advocate throughout this season. Yeah, remind me of that one.
However, I've also heard interviews this week that really sound like that. And so that's where I'm wondering if there was possibly some dialogue cut that was maybe redundant, but that also might have slightly sounded more authentic had it made it through. And so a few comments were made about that really did make it sound like she did truly love him. She does truly want what's best for him. She did truly see a future with him, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't the comfortable choice over dealing with her grief. And it doesn't mean that she necessarily chose that on purpose and knew she was making the comfortable choice.
See, that is something that I could get a little bit more behind. So yes, I really do wish that would have been made more clear.
Yeah. And again, that's just what I've heard from a few.
No, that is, yes, so that is what you've heard.
It's possible that's not the entire truth. It's possible that maybe some of the dialogue that people were talking about hasn't happened yet, because maybe it's in the next episode and they didn't remember which episode it was in. You know, it might be more clear after this next episode, but I definitely did not get the feeling that the implication was that they were writing it to be that she never loved him.
Okay.
Or that she was just choosing somebody who was safe. Oh, like solely that was the sole direction that the last 2 years have been. Because no way. They shared a lot.
That would throw away 2 years.
There were so many aspects of that romance that no. I don't think that we need to be like, oh yeah, they're just throwing that all away. I don't think that that was the intention at all.
Now, one thing that I will say, so I may not care for the storyline as much, but the acting
Oh,
in this episode, and especially
mm-hmm.
in that scene with Pascal and Aaron, that was some majorly good acting. That was one of the finest acted scenes. I and even at the train station, like I said, not 100% okay at this point with the storyline, but the acting was very well done. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing, did you notice when Lucas said, "Then I'm staying," Elizabeth
Yeah.
said, "No, I couldn't ask you to do that." Does that sound at all familiar?
It mirrored the conversation between her and Jack so much. And that I think is what I needed to hear also in that. Like, to me, that was one of the best parts of that scene, because you and I were talking about this beforehand, is like, how can she, if she loves him, if she truly loves him, how can she not want to go with him? Because even if you love where you live, even if this is your where your heart is, you go with the person. I mean, it's, again, it is temporary. There is absolutely no reason why you couldn't come back after a while. And she had offered.
I lived in another country for 3 years, and I came back to the same house. You know, I mean, it's been
Right.
done
I mean,
many times.
it's done a lot. And also, she had offered to go with Jack. She had offered to give up all of these things when, earlier in the series, for love. So, A, if you're not willing to do that, do you really love this person?
Mm-hmm.
That to me would have been the red flag that was making me question things, is why don't I want to go with him?
Mm-hmm.
And then B, like, it it needed to have that back and forth. If he hadn't offered to stay, I would have been ticked off. But I also get it. Like, he needs to go. He does need to go.
Yeah.
And she knows that. And she couldn't ask him to stay, even if she did love him that much and want to continue the relationship. She would not be able to ask him that.
Yes, but my darling friend, guess who else she said that to? She said it to Nathan. In the very big dramatic scene,
Yeah.
when Nathan is coming from Bill's land with the huge "I love you" declaration, he said, "I would quit. I would quit the Mounties." And she says, "No, I couldn't ask you to do that." She has a habit of saying that.
Well, I think it's a very true statement.
It
You
is.
can't
I'm just
ask someone to give up who they are for you.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
You and I also talked about it back then, though. In a situation like that, I think I may have changed my opinion now. But originally speaking, we talked about being a Mountie was really a calling for Jack.
Yeah,
It was
a job
to his core. It was to his core what he was. And with Nathan, it really was more of a job. I feel like a few years down the road now, it is bigger than that to him.
Especially with his dad showing up again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go there right now. It looks like things are headed back towards the red.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not saying it 100% certain.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not making any predictions because I'm always wrong. The last couple of years, I have not been able to do predictions the way I have in the past. So,
I mean, the interesting thing to me is if they were going to just say this is a great storyline for Lucas, we need him to do this, but he's still going to be on the show. I feel like they would have just made this about her not wanting to leave with him and postponing things.
yeah.
And not having it seem like she doesn't want to be with him.
Yeah.
Because you could easily do a time jump, or you could have them do long distance, or some like you there's ways that you could have made it work on a TV show to just have them postpone getting married. And there is nothing to say that he doesn't. I mean, we're pretty sure he's going to win because we need the valley to not be destroyed. But there's nothing saying that then something happens and his term is shortened and someone else takes over and he comes back to Hope Valley. Like there's lots of things that can happen in a TV show to when a new season starts to just, oh yeah, well that the person that was going to go away for 2 years didn't go away for 2 years.
4 years.
Well, no, I'm actually thinking of something specifically else, a whole other TV show.
Okay.
And I'm just like, they're like, oh yeah, this person's gonna go do this like Peace Corps thing for 2 years and then come back and you're like, huge cliffhanger. But then when it comes back, it's like, yeah, I went, but then I had to come back a month later because somebody was sick and and it was just like, it happens a lot. So you can resolve things. I think they're going in a different direction.
But what I will say is what we are being shown, okay? Because previews can be very misleading, and I will come right out and say that. But what we are being shown, is very Red Surge heavy. And it would give credence. It would give credence to all of those little moments throughout the season that we were saying was just them bringing up the triangle for the sake of drama and discussion.
Right.
And I mean, in this episode alone, we have two things that kind of stuck out. Number one, Nathan it's the camera is on Nathan seeing Elizabeth's distress. And then Nathan coming into the school and confronting Elizabeth and making her think about what she wants. Now I've got two sides to this. Number one, it would be really hard to not go weak in the knees with those blue eyes staring you down.
Fair.
Yes, fair. Number two, and I'm really glad because in one of the sneak peeks I saw, he apologizes and he said, "I'm sorry I overstepped." And I went, yes, good. Thank you. Good.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that because I did not care for that. I did not care for that interaction. I thought he did overstep. I would have preferred him come in on her crying. If he was going to say all of that stuff, if he had downright seen her crying and come over to comfort her and say, hey, what do you want?
That would have been different.
That would have been different and that would have been better.
But challenging her when she's engaged to another man.
Yeah.
It is sort of crossing the line.
It was totally crossing the line. And I kind of went, Nathan, honey, I've always liked you. Why are you doing this? It just shows that he's not perfect, and he makes mistakes too. But so I am very glad that I saw that sneak peek that has him apologizing because it makes me feel better. So yeah, I will be blunt and say I don't know what to think right now. And Sarah will confirm
and I
this.
think, I think I want to be really clear with people. We're not saying we don't like Nathan or we don't want her to be with Nathan. Both of us originally did think that was the right
we
move.
both were team Nathan. We loved Nathan. And
Mostly for
Nathan.
me, yeah, we still love Nathan, and I'm not closed off to the idea of them being together. I'm in shock that they went so heavily towards Lucas for so long.
Yes.
Involving little Jack in like all the scenes of him bonding with little Jack and making progress and talking about his childhood and all of his hopes and dreams and how much he desired being a family and
being a father to her son,
being a father to her son, and involving little Jack in the proposal. All of those factors that just really did set up such a lovely love story.
Yes.
That even though we weren't originally on board for that love story, we fell for that love story because they did it so beautifully. The acting was so lovely. Even if you don't agree with the entire storyline and all the specific writing, the romance was very, very sweet. And it's hard to see something take such a drastic turn when you aren't expecting it. And and I think that's where Cammie and I are right now in the it feels a little whiplash. Like you're just like, I'm not used to this. This is totally a different direction than I thought we were going. And that's so regardless of whether where we're going is going to be a lovely story, we're very much just in shock over the change and not sure what to expect and where it's going. And I feel like that is probably where a lot of people were 2 years ago. And so hopefully people will have some compassion for those of us that are struggling. I know a lot of people are thrilled with this decision.
Right.
To each their own.
We don't want to speak too soon.
I don't want to celebrate someone getting their heart broken. Yeah. And like, to me, that's like, to me, it's not a happy occasion. Like if this is going to be a great storyline, great. But in this moment, this is a sad, tough situation to go through for anyone. And, you know, it's like, you don't wish these tough situations on your worst enemy. Like she's grieving her husband. She's going through a trauma. Now she's going to be going through a breakup of what she thought was going to be her future. Even if she ends up in the right place, great. This is still a hard time. And so we're processing and not, we're just processing.
Yeah. You said it all really, really well, because if you go back and watch the recap of the season finale of season 9, of season 8, when she chose Lucas, I was almost in tears. And Sarah, you joined us for that. You joined Casey and me for that one. Yeah, I was having a really hard time holding it together because Lucas was not my choice. I made the decision to keep watching the show and to keep doing the podcast. And then Sarah joined me. And so I may not have agreed with everything, but I will admit that part of that is it wasn't Jack. And I think that Jack and Elizabeth are perfect. So it's just, that's going to be part of it. And it is not what I was expecting, because I honestly thought that they were going to have her end up with Nathan. So it took me a lot of time to get used to this idea of Elizabeth and Lucas. And then I started getting used to it, and I started, going with the flow. And then it's done a very quick and sudden turnaround. And I just went, wait, hold it. I was just getting used to this. Okay. So yeah, we are not close to the idea. We're just waiting to see what happens. And that's what we would encourage everyone to do is just wait and see what happens, and
try to give the rest of the Hearties some grace, because everybody's coming at it from different positions, different perspectives. Everyone's got their own history attached to their feelings. I've seen a lot of comments online from actual widows talking about their grief and how they processed and how they were able to move on, and how difficult that has been. So there's a lot of personal feelings that are attached to how people are feeling about this. And Hope Valley is about togetherness and community. So I'm hoping that we can keep our thoughts on each other and understand that we're all coming at it from a different perspective.
So that is our final thought.
It is, but I noticed, Cammie, you did not have a question of the day. So my question of the day.
Oh, she's got it. So it's my final thought.
I got it. I got you covered. Where is that train station?
Okay, are you talking set wise, or are you talking? Look,
because in all the interviews I've seen, people have asked about where that train station is, and I swear they're talking about in Hope Valley, and the answers people are giving are set, and that's not the question. I don't care how you made the set.
Where?
Of some other windows, and you add a ticket taker. That does not tell me anything. They walked to that train station. They walked. They did not take a car. They walked to that train station from the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah. Lucas would have noticed no suitcase in a car.
Yes. and I know that they said they put in a train station nearby, but really, it's close.
Dark.
And it's so loud. We've never heard a train. We have never heard a train in Hope Valley.
Yeah.
So that's my question, is where on earth is that train station in Hope Valley? I really want to know.
The hooked Hearty is stumped. I have no idea. I can't talk my way out of this one. Nope.
That is on my list the next time we talk to Bird. That's the first thing I want to know. Okay, maybe second. We'll probably have something else more burn. We'll probably have more burning questions by then, but that is all on the list. I have to know.
That train station. Oh my goodness. All right. So Hearties, have grace, have compassion, have sympathy and empathy, and find out where that train station is. We love you.
Bye, Hearties.